distinguished guests, graduands, your families and your friends, Bond University colleagues, good afternoon and welcome to this ceremony for the conferring of degrees in medicine in the Faculty of Health Sciences and Medicine. It's my pleasure to introduce Bond University's Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Tim Brasswood.
Well, thank you, Mr. Finch, and good afternoon, everyone. Well, what a magnificent occasion. Graduation ceremonies, I think, always bring the absolute best out in the campus, and our ground staff have once again, I think, put on a fantastic show. But they bring the best out in our faculty. Our staff actually turn up more regularly on graduation day than they do at any other point in time in the year. But I think that's in part because they always bring out the best in our students. So good afternoon, everyone, and what a wonderful day this is. Allow me to commence by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet here today, and I do so on your behalf in the spirit of reconciliation by paying our respects to elders past and present. I welcome you all to Bond University. I acknowledge the presence of Bond University's 8th Chancellor, the Honourable Dr Annabel Bennett, AOSC, and her husband, Mr David Bennett, ACSC. David is an honorary professor in the law school and joins us in the academic procession. We have a number of other very notable guests in the audience. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr Ray Stevens, State Member for Mermaid Beach. Ray, it's always good to see you on campus. Mr Peter Crawley is here. Some of you will know Peter. He is a very long-standing and most distinguished principal of St Hilda's School in Southport. Peter has announced that this is his last year at the helm of St Hilda's. We've had a long association with St Hilda's and Peter, we wish you well in your future endeavours. And it'll be lovely, I think, because we have a couple of girls from St Hilda's who are graduating here today. Dr Darryl Gregor joins us also in the academic procession. Dr Darryl Gregor, OAM, is a member of the Council of the University and was very much part of the development of the medical school here. I acknowledge those members of Bond University Limited who are here, and I note Mr Derek Murphy is here in the audience. Thank you for your support, Derek. And on behalf of all of our students, I acknowledge all of the parents, the siblings, the friends, the wider family and the general community members who are here today to support our graduands on this most auspicious occasion. I particularly welcome those and thank you, those of you who have travelled long distances to be here with us today. I'm very conscious that a number of you have travelled several thousand kilometres to be here for this afternoon's events, and we sincerely appreciate it, as I'm sure the graduands do as well. The university runs 7 graduation ceremonies each year, and this is the last ceremony which we run in the calendar year. It's a particularly special graduation ceremony for us. It is the only ceremony where we have a single cohort, that being, of course, the class of the medical students. And it's our last ceremony for the year, it's our most intimate ceremony, and I think for many it's the most emotional ceremony as well. Medicine is our longest program we have here at the university, so the opportunity for the university and our staff and faculty to get to know the students is there for all to see. We have an opportunity which stretches over almost 5 years to get to know each and every one of you individually. The fact that we have such a small cohort is particularly significant. And the sacrifices that these students and their families have made to be here is genuinely acknowledged by the university. The sacrifices are both in financial terms, and as the only university in the entire nation that receives no government funding for any of our educational programs, as you all know, students must bear the brunt of the costs of their tuition. But the medical program itself is incredibly difficult to get into. Just obtaining admission to the program is an achievement in its own right. But that's only where it starts. And the intensity of the program means that there is very little downtime and extraordinary effort. An extraordinary effort is required to keep the momentum and to arrive here today. So our sincere congratulations. But more on the achievements of our graduates you'll hear during this afternoon. You each have a copy of today's program where you can follow the proceedings, which will now formally commence. I trust that you enjoy the ceremony, that you take the time to respect and acknowledge each and every one of our graduates as they come up for their individual presentations, and that you have an opportunity to take away your special moment. It's now my great pleasure to introduce our occasional and guest speaker for this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to introduce Professor Peter Brooks, AM. Peter is currently a professorial fellow at the School of Population and Global Health at the University of Melbourne. He's currently also the Scientific Director for the Cooperative Research Network for Sports and Exercise Science, of which Bond University is the lead university in the network. But Peter's had quite an extraordinary career in medicine and health generally. We're extremely fortunate to have such a high profile and such a high calibre speaker this afternoon. Professor Brooks is a rheumatologist. He's an expert in public health and an expert in health policy. His practitioner interests are in the treatment and epidemiology of rheumatic diseases, but also more generally, and he is often invited to speak on the topics of public health, workforce in the health professions, health policy, patient engagement, just to name a few. He's a recognised international expert in the therapy of rheumatic diseases, and he's played a major role in the development of clinical trials, methodologies in this area, both measuring the efficacy and adverse events. And over the past decade, he's moved his interest to develop a major expertise in health workforce reform, as I've mentioned, and in particular he's been looking at new models of care. He's a prolific author. He's published over 400 papers on the treatment and outcomes in arthritis, psychological aspects of rheumatic diseases, medical education, and health workforce planning. Previously, he was a member of the Pharmaceutical Benefits Advisory Committee. He's been chair of Human Ethics Committees at the Royal North Shore Hospital in Sydney, St Vincent's Hospital in Sydney, the Queensland Institute of Medical Research, and a Northern Hospital in Epping. And he's currently a member of the Epworth Healthcare Human Research and Ethics Committee. He also serves on the Management Committee of Doctors for the Environment Australia. He holds medical degrees from Monash University. He's also been conferred with an honorary MD from Lund University in Sweden, and he is a professional member of many prestigious medical colleges and societies. He's been recognised for his contribution to society through the award of Member of Order of Australia in 2010. He's not only an outstanding academic, he's an outstanding individual, and it's my great pleasure to welcome him to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Peter Brooks.
Chancellor, the Honourable Annabel Bennett, AOSC, Vice-Chancellor and President Professor Tim Brailsford, distinguished guests, graduates and families of graduates. I too would like to pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land. It's always an honour and a pleasure to address graduates as they begin their professional lives. Mark Twain once remarked that there are two important days in your life. The first when you're born, the second when you find out why. And I think as doctors, I hope there are many days when we realise why we're on this planet. And one of these days, I suspect, is today. One of those days is today, because you've achieved the hopes not only of yourselves, but of your parents and your supporters. I think there are many days throughout our professional lives when we know why we're here. We see patients for whom we really have made a difference to the way to their health and to their journey through life. It's an extraordinary, gratifying experience. 2 weeks ago, I celebrated with others our 49th graduation anniversary from Monash University. And I've been reflecting recently on my own journey, realising how medicine has changed so much during that time, and it will change during your time as professionals as well. Some things have been for the better. Some, I think, have probably not for the better. But you do appreciate how privileged it is to be trusted by patients. You must never forget that trust, but always recognise that you have to continually earn it. Today, you become doctors. You join colleagues in other health disciplines to work as part of healthcare teams, researching, educating, and providing care to improve the health of individuals and society as a whole. What a wonderful challenge, and what a privilege. As doctors, our patients must always be, and patient care must always be, our prime responsibility. And in a world which is becoming increasingly focused on value for money, the fiscal bottom line, and outcomes, care sometimes, perhaps I might say often, gets forgotten. Always remember that it is this that we're here for. It's to deliver in the best way we can patient care and be advocates for our patients. That sometimes means not doing things, not ordering investigations, procedures or treatments that have little or no value. And as you know through your studies, we do a lot of that. Probably 25% of what we do is what we refer to as low-value care. It doesn't really make all that much difference to patients. You just think about that in a health budget of, $120, $130 billion. We'd be saving $30 billion a year, every year, which could actually go towards things that really do work. But this doesn't mean that we have to say to a patient that there's nothing we can do. That is never true. There's always something you can do, even if it's just a handshake, a kind encouragement, but you can always care. Remember the Hippocratic Oath. The health of my patient will be my first consideration. But also remember, first, do no harm. During my life in medicine, I've seen enormous changes. Imaging, cures for a number of diseases, revolutions in our understanding of cancer biology and immunology, a change from eminence to evidence-based medicine. Now, I know you particularly have heard that before from Professor Del Mar and others. Clinical trials, misuse of antibiotics. And as I said, these are topics that are really, your medical school has an international reputation. You'll see enormous changes during your professional lives, particularly driven by personalised technology. You will likely have a robot employed in your practice, assisting in your surgery or in your waiting room. You'll be receiving information from implantable devices in your patients, and they will be communicating with you in a virtual world. Sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? But don't be frightened. Embrace that change. You've got to do that. Take risks during your life, not with your patients, but with the things you think about. And learn from those. If you make mistakes, learn from those mistakes. Don't always accept the status quo. Question it. Seek to improve things. You will not be able to embrace the future if you're stuck in the past. We're also entering a new area where partnerships with our patients will be real. Consensual decision-making about what needs to be done to and for them to maintain their health and restore them to full health. We're moving to fully embrace engagement with birth, with life and with death, and you as health professionals need to be ready to embrace those conversations as active participants to help your patients through all those life stages. To be a good doctor, you need to listen. You need to understand the social context of your patient. Remember, we only deal with 50% of health problems. The others are due to social factors such as employment, education, housing, etc. And I know you know that, but you need to think about it all the time. To be a good doctor, you must be an advocate for your patient, and you must earn and maintain their respect, and you must increasingly engage them in clinical decision-making. Finally, I think you must be willing to speak up for your patients when society imposes things that might impact on their health, whether it be sending them to offshore detention centres, creating financial burdens that impact on their health, or engaging in activities that interfere with global climate. Remember, if you don't want to do it yourself, do it for your patients, because all these things impact very, very significantly on patient care and on patients' health. Now, I can reassure you that very few students recall, perhaps I should reassure myself, very few students recall the address at their graduation ceremony, but perhaps some of these comments will be remembered. I hope so. In drawing to a close, I want to reiterate 4 themes. 1, partner with your patients in decision making about their health. It is their health. It's their body. Remember, no decision about me without me. Embrace the future. Don't be frightened to take risks or make mistakes, but always learn from them. Maintain patients' trust. It's very special and it's a real privilege, but it needs to be earned. Always care not just for the individual, but about the society in which you live. You will be respected, and with that comes the ability to speak out about things that might influence patient care. I wish you the sort of life that I've had in medicine, wonderfully challenging and a lot of fun. And if there's one thing I would add to what I've said, it's never lose your sense of humour. Enjoy yourselves and never forget to care. Thank you.
Forgive the time for the photos, but each of you are going to have that done as well, so just bear with us. Before I say anything, I want to just make one observation. There are some children here. This is a family occasion. I don't want anyone to feel at all concerned if a child makes a noise we're hoping that one day each of those children will be up here receiving a degree, so it's a good thing that they're getting some practice now. I want to thank Peter Brooks for that address. I think you'll agree that it was inspiring, but it was real and it was humble. Graduation addresses do tend to get lost in the celebrations of the day, but I'm sure you'll remember that one. I must say I was struck by a few of his comments. I like the fact that today is one of the days when you find out why you are here. I also I thought that was a pretty good one myself. I haven't got to that stage yet, probably. He also pointed out that the thing to remember is that you're trusted by patients and that your job is to deliver patient care. He also referred to the do no harm requirement. I wish that that motto was something that went beyond medicine to a lot of other people in our society who should remember that do no harm is a very important thing to remember. He also commented that you may have a robot to assist you in your practice, but don't forget that Mr. Spock and Data both remembered that they could not do everything that humans could do, and I don't believe that Watson will be able to do it either, because in the end you will have to exercise judgment. It's not just a question of the information, the data. As Peter said, you have to listen, and that's really important. And in fact, as a person who's been a lawyer and a judge, that idea of listening before you make a decision and make judgment is a wonderful piece of advice that I know that you'll treasure. So I'd like you to join with me once more in just thanking Peter Brooks for that address. Before we move on, I'd like just to add some of my own words to welcome the graduands. The Vice-Chancellor made a reference to the fact that you've been here for quite a long time, because we all know that medicine takes time. And I've also had a lot of experience of universities. I spent 14 years at university, and it wasn't because I kept failing. I spent 14 years as an undergraduate and graduate, and then I spent about a dozen years as Pro-Chancellor at another university. And that has confirmed my belief in the positive benefits of a good education. It can't go wrong no matter what you learn. It's worth it. It's worth every day, every month, and every year that you spend. Universities are very special places, and we should do everything we can to protect them and help them prosper. But for a moment, I want to turn to this university, to Bond. I've only recently been installed as Chancellor, just in June of this year, but one thing that I've come to appreciate straight away is that Bond is a very, very special place. It has essential and unique qualities that make it so special, and one thing I've learned is it maintains that position in the hearts and minds of all of its students. One thing I've learned is once a Bondie, always a Bondie. And what we hope is that you will remember that as you go out into the world, into your professional lives, and that you come back and share your lives with us. Don't forget Bond, because Bond doesn't want to forget you either. You know, like many universities, Bond offers a set of excellent academic programs where students learn contemporary knowledge and master skills. It's also full of outstanding academic staff who undertake groundbreaking research and disseminate the latest findings to the students. But of course, there's more than that about Bond. I think the relationship that develops between the staff and the students here is something unique. In my short time here, I've noticed the sheer joy on the faces of the students that you don't see elsewhere. And that joy, that lighting up happens whenever you ask them how they've enjoyed their time here at Bond. And inevitably, you see something here that I must say I don't see elsewhere. And I think that's because Bond has a very student-centred focus. That's the primary mission. When I first met the Vice-Chancellor, he said to me, the one thing you'll learn about Bond is our first important goal are the students, our second are the students, and our third are the students. And I think all of you would agree with me that you've been the beneficiaries of that. And I think part of it is because there's intimacy here induced by a determination not to grow too large, with a diversity of people and a sense of self-destiny that are critical ingredients that make up the unique character of Bond. But it's not just the students that have contributed to that. Here today we have proud parents and family members and friends of the graduands. They're not graduates yet, of course, but don't be too scared. Not much is going to happen between now and then to stop it happening. I can tell you, because when I sat here in this university hall watching one of my children graduate, I had that terrible feeling that until they actually walk across the stage and someone hands it to them, someone's going to stand up and say, "Not her." So don't worry, I'm sure that nothing is going to happen. But my husband David and I have sat where you are now as parents, and there's a wonderful sense of pride. And I know in many cases there's been sacrifice, support, care and nurturing from all of you that has enabled today to happen. And I want to thank you. I know that each of you will be thanked by your own family members when they graduate, or you have probably already. But I know what it means to be a supporting family member, to put a student through university. And I know the sense of pride that you feel today, and I share that with you. So on behalf of your graduates, I thank you for everything that you've done. Being Chancellor requires me to undertake some formal tasks, but there's nothing more enjoyable than formally to admit the graduates to their degrees and to transform them into graduates of this university. And in particular, I think it's wonderful to see, as you've heard, it's a very special thing to get into this university, into medicine, and I know that each of you appreciate the fact that you're graduating from it. So I now call on the Deputy Chair of the Academic Senate to present the candidates for degrees.
Will all candidates for degrees please stand? Chancellor, it gives me great pleasure to be able to present to you the graduating cohort from our School of Medicine, comprising 90 graduands for admission to the degrees of Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery, Bond University, and one graduate for admission to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Chancellor, I certify to you and the university that the graduands have satisfied the requirements for admission to the degree.
With the authority of Council, I hereby admit you to the degrees for which you have qualified. I also admit to his award in absentia the graduate who is listed in the graduation program who is unable to be present today. Ladies and gentlemen, you can now breathe a sigh of relief. That is the moment of graduation. You can congratulate each other. I see that you're doing it now. Please be seated. We'll now move to the formal presentation of the testamers.
Chancellor, the following candidate is presented for the award of a research doctorate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy with the thesis title, Quinazoline-based alpha-1 adrenoceptor antagonists and prostate cancer, Amanda Forbes Winspear. Chancellor, I present graduates from the Faculty of Health Sciences and Medicine. The Dean of Medicine will congratulate each candidate after they have been conferred with their degree. Anishka Swasti Acho. Anika Alexander. Charlotte Alexander. Jasmine Alou. Ahmed Almawais. Niveditha Anguswamy. Arti Aurora. Kirilas Assad. Ryan Avery. Piumi Balasuria Lekamlagi. Kieran Lorenz Bartholomews. Debbie Johanna Bassett. Jake Alexander Beneteau. Alexander Paul Beresford. Aniwood Baradza. Madison Bowles. Sarah Chia. Emily Jane Chang. Haley Marie Chang. Theo George Constantopoulos. Andrew Daniel. Michelle Angela Dix. Frank Abraham Dorian. Martin Doss. Anthony L. Hosry. Daniel James Allen Finlayson. Kartik Vardhan Garakapati. Natasha Mary Gould. Thaisa Irene Grotch. Brigitte Claire Holt. Jafar Hossein. Ben Nathan Yurna. Asif Jalal. Ansel Jansen van Rensburg. Alex Xiao Ju Ji. Karen Joseph. Navitha Karthikamanathan. Anna Beverly Kermond. Arjun Kara. Sean Canna. Lillian King. Sneha Krishna. Justin Lamb. Kenneth Jacques Lamb. Ronald Lamb. Joshua Mikhail Macari. Yvette Mikhail. Nitin Mukesh. Samuel Arthur Murphy. Kusam Naji. Sri Suvira Nathan. Kitty New. Natasha Olson. Haley Marie O'Neill. Chien Ri Shorn Ong. Abraham Petrus. Gideon Potajnik. Nithu Varghese Painadath. Catherine Margaret Quirk. Bianca Rajapakse. Priyanka Ramachandran. Abhirami Ramanujan. Lakdini Vidushika Ranasingher. Juliet Olivia Roundtree. Praga Saha. Karan Sandhu. Armani Savi and Beautiful Small Child. Rehan Philip Sakira. Tabriz Sheriff. Akshara Minakshi Shamsundar. Dineshki Silva. Angad Singh. Muhambika Srinivasan. James Learmont Stewart. Annalise Patricia Jane Stolz. Terrence Brendan Shilan Su. June Baek Sung. William Chu. Sarah Thanusha Thomas. Mai Tran. Charles Henry Tuffley. Jasmine Daisy Zira Uchash. Sanya Valath. Kartik Vasan. Moses Gagarin Vasimala. Monavi Vemula. Sunji Vairavi Pillai. Janice Yon. Chancellor Zoe Wright, who is the highest achieving graduate in this graduating cohort of medical students, is the David Whedon University Gold Medalist in Medicine. She has also been selected to give the valedictory address on behalf of the graduating cohort this afternoon. During her studies, Zoe has achieved a cumulative GPA of 3.815 out of a possible 4 and a cumulative average of 86%. She was placed on the Dean's list in her first year and on the Vice Chancellor's list every year since. Zoe Wright.
Good afternoon, Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, Pro-Vice-Chancellor, special guests, deans, academics, family, friends, and of course, the graduating class of 2016. It is a great honour and privilege to speak on your behalf. Today, we take the next step in our medical careers and become Australia's newest doctors. With us, we take a myriad of emotions: pride, gratitude, excitement, and apprehension. With this in mind, I would like to take a moment to explore a question no doubt all of us have asked ourselves since donning our graduation attire. Am I ready? Let me take you back to a few occasions throughout our time at Bond Uni where we would have, or perhaps more accurately should have, asked ourselves the same question. Number 1, am I ready to start medical school? A lot of us, including our families, would have made various sacrifices to study at Bond Uni. For some, this meant moving interstate or even overseas. For others, it meant giving up pursuits in sport, music, and academia. For everyone, it meant many hours spent in lecture theatres, tutorial rooms, anatomy labs, and the library. My point here is that for us to have made it as far as orientation, never mind graduation, somewhere deep down, we must have known that a career in medicine would be worth all the blood, sweat, and tears. Number 2, am I ready to start my new rotation? Cue your first day on paediatrics. You are allocated to the emergency department. You hope that repeatedly reading your shaky, handwritten notes from Dr. Harry Singh's lectures have paid off. A registrar informs you that a child has come in with a particularly nasty supracondylar fracture and asks for your help. Eager to impress, you jump at the opportunity and are handed a tube of clear, soapy solution. That's right, your job, blowing bubbles to distract the child. Never mind, maybe obstetrics is your time to shine. Your job now is to tell a 20-year-old college student that the intense waves of abdominal pain she's been experiencing are not due to indigestion, and that 9 months is probably pushing the definition of irregular. Soon enough, you accompany her to the delivery room, and never have Douglas Adams' words from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy rang so true. Always know where the towels are. Next up is psychiatry. You walk into the extended treatment facility at Robina Hospital. One of the lovely nurses gives you a tour of the ward, introduces you to all the patients, and explains their major role in Trump's election campaign. Hours later, you are kindly informed that said nurse is in fact one of your treating team's patients. Moving on to internal medicine. You finish your ward round and your consultant invites you for coffee. You start to think that physician training is the way to go. Of course, coffee in this instance is accompanied by a 45-minute interrogation on the differential diagnosis of high anion gap metabolic acidosis. So maybe surgery is your calling. Instead, you end up freezing, starving, and questioning your choice of footwear while your surgeon quizzes you on all the layers of the abdominal wall. Number 3, am I ready for my OSCEs? It's that time of year, examination time. You hope you are prepared. All is going well until you're asked to gain a 60-year-old woman's consent for a HIV test after a clumsy registrar sustained a needle stick injury. Believe it or not, she doesn't take too kindly to you asking if she is a prostitute, if her husband is a prostitute, or if she or her husband have ever had any dealings with prostitutes. You then move on to your next station, where you watch the bewildered face of your examiner as you become the 8th student in a row to openly disclose the patient's confidential medical information to a nosy and not so well-meaning neighbour. Sorry, Rita. I think it is safe to say that we will never feel 100% ready for what lies ahead. But by graduating today, we have proven that we have the knowledge and skills to make it in the unpredictable world of medicine. This aside, none of us would be here without the ongoing love and support from all the special people in our lives. To my beloved family, especially Mum and Dad, thank you for always believing in me. You've been there for the good times and the bad, and I'll be forever grateful. To Ryan, Anna, Ali, Kat, Jazz, thank you for always being there to make me smile. Graduating class of 2016. As much as we are no longer students of Bond University, we will forever be students. Our medical degrees are merely the foundation on which we can continue to build. There's always another journal article to read, another conference to attend, another life story to be heard. We graduate today surrounded by our mentors and our colleagues and become one of the growing alumni of what is the Bond University Medical Program. Don't ever underestimate the power of phoning a friend. You are not alone. So, in conclusion, are we ready? I can definitely say that we're as ready as we'll ever be. Thank you.
Graduates, please stand. The Executive Dean will now lead the Medical Students' Declaration.
I swear to fulfil to the best of my ability and judgment this covenant. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps I walk and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow. I will apply for the benefit of the sick all measures that are required, avoiding those twin traps of overtreatment and therapeutic nihilism. I will remember that there is art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. I will not be ashamed to say, I know not, nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. I will respect the privacy of my patients, for their problems are not disclosed to me that the world may know. Most especially must I tread with care in matters of life and death. This awesome responsibility must be faced with great humbleness and awareness of my own frailty. I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart or a cancerous growth, but a sick human being whose illness may affect the person's family and economic stability. My responsibility includes these related problems if I am to care adequately for the sick. I will prevent disease whenever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations to all my fellow human beings, those sound of mind and body, as well as the infirm. The final paragraph we read together, if you turn to your programs. It begins with "if I do not." Are we ready? The final paragraph. "If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life and art, respected while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help." Thank you, graduates. Please remain standing.
So graduates, I will now read out the university charge. And after I've read that out, I will ask whether or not you accept. I charge you as graduates of Bond University to demonstrate at all times the highest moral and ethical standards, to apply your learnings and education to the benefit of society, to pursue the highest standards in all your endeavours, with excellence always your aim, and to forever support and enhance the reputation of your university through engagement as a proud alumni. Do you accept that charge? Oh, come on. Look, we've spent almost an hour and a half building up to this moment. And that's all you can give me? Let's give it one more try, shall we? Graduates, do you accept that charge? Yes! Thank you. Please be seated. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at a close, and that brings to an end the actual formalities of this ceremony. But as you have heard on numerous occasions throughout today's ceremony, and indeed spoken so well by our valedictorian, Miss Zoe Wright. And Zoe, we haven't had a moment to congratulate you on your words and your speech on behalf of the latest graduates of Bond University. It's not easy to stand up here in front of 600 odd people and deliver such a speech with a nice touch of sense of humour, but some well-meaning behind it and some strong messages, and the network and strength of your cohort and friends and supporters and peers was probably obvious. Ladies and gentlemen, what you may not know about Zoe is that in addition to her academic excellence, she has thrown herself into all walks of life. She's been an active volunteer, she's become involved in Indigenous health, she's a musician, she's played in a number of orchestras, she has assisted with the community fire service, and as part of her placement she also went to the Solomons, I think this year, Zoe. So congratulations on just an outstanding academic record, but an outstanding extracurricular record, and congratulations, Zoe, on an outstanding presentation today. Can I also again thank Professor Peter Brooks for delivering such a fine occasional address. Peter lives in Melbourne, and he has come up for today's ceremony. Peter, thank you very much for that. You're always welcome here at Bond. And on behalf of our graduates, can I thank all of the parents, grandparents, siblings, wider family, friends, community members and supporters of our graduates. You know, their journey has been a long journey. It will have no doubt had its moments. The sacrifices that many have made to get you here today should not be lost on you. And while today is all about you, it is just one day and probably the last day in your life where you can be a little me. Because after today it's all patient. But can you please take a moment, if you haven't already, to reach out to those supporters, many of whom are in the room with you, but some of who may not be. And so call them, don't Facebook them, don't text them, actually call them and just say, thank you very much. I've made it. This is the beginning of the next stage of my great life, my great career. They just thank them, and I'm sure they will appreciate it. Remember, graduates, that the responsibilities cast on you now are writ large, because forevermore, we can't take it off you. Forevermore, you're a graduate of Bond University. And remember that your actions, the way you treat people in all sorts of ways, will reflect upon this university. And despite the magnificence of this campus, our facilities, the commitment and the expertise of our academic staff, the absolute dedication of our support staff, despite all of that, the reality is that this university is all about people and it's about our students. And so you now carry with you the reputation of the latest graduates from Bond University. So everything you do, not only will you be judged, but the university will be judged too. And while this medical program, this university may be relatively young, we've already forged a fine reputation. Don't be the one that lets that reputation down. And as Zoe said, you're always going to have a very strong peer support network. That's the nature of the Bond program here. You've got to know each other very well, perhaps too well in some cases. But you'll go with you 90 plus great mates, great friends who have had a shared experience and a difficult experience. You all appreciate what you've gone through to arrive here today. And as you progress through life, remember that the class of 2016 are a tight-knit class, and so even though you may not speak to each other for several years, recognise that you always share that common bond. So, ladies and gentlemen, I congratulate the class of 2016, and I give you all an opportunity, one last occasion, just as I can hear the thunder upstairs, which I have coincided the time with this moment, to give the latest graduates a huge round of applause.